Hello everyone, I'm Anne-Marie and I'm really excited to be guest designing for the Altenew mixed media blog today. I decided to create a scrapbook layout and my inspiration for my layout came from a piece of scrapbook paper that I've had in my stash for a few years. I wanted to create a wreath of colourful flowers. In order to tone down the background a little, I started by using some Altenew embossing paste with a spatula to add paste through the Altenew woven stencil just in random places over the coloured image to tone it down and form a more interesting background with lots of extra texture. I put this aside to dry and then I went on to start colouring and creating lots of floral images. Here I am using the Hill Blossom layering stencil to make 4 or 5 floral images. I chose some blues for the flowers, and I followed the layering guide which comes with each set and created some really pretty flowers here. I then went on to use the greenwood flower layering stencil as well as the rose mellow layering stencil, and I created lots and lots of flowers and plenty of leaves, probably more than I needed, but rather that than not enough. I'm really enjoying using the Altenew mixed media inks. These are so easy to use. They're really juicy, silky and luscious, and they make ink blending and colouring layering stencils such a breeze. For these pigment inks, I chose to use domed blending brushes. I have a set dedicated now to these pigment inks, and because they're a pigment, they tend to take a while to dry. So in between each layer, I did use my heat tool just to quickly dry each layer and prevent them from the ink from smudging. So as you can see on the side, I have my layering guide just to help me along. With these roses, I decided to use a combination of yellows and pinks to give a two-tone effect and create that lovely warm orange colour in the middle, starting with the lightest colour, the yellow, and then slowly building up the layers to have some darker reds as the darker shades of the flower. So if you look here, the layering stencils are really easy to line up, and I just enjoyed this process of creating lots and lots of flowers. So once I had finished creating all these flowers, I fussy cut them. Now I enjoy fussy cutting, some people don't. I find it quite relaxing, and I spend some time cutting those and leaving a very small white border around them. I sprinkled some water on and then dabbed the water off to give a bit of extra texture, and then began the fun part of actually creating my layout. I wanted to add some splatters, so I used some jet black pigment ink for some black splatters all over using a paintbrush and just tapping all over the layout page. I then also used some anti-gold pigment ink to add some shimmer and interest to the background. All these little things are easy to do, but they create interest and they create extra texture, which I enjoy. I then took some time to start placing my flowers. I chose a black and white photo to use on this layout. I used some foam core to pop it up and placed it just to the very left, sort of the left third of the circle, rather than placing it right in the very middle. All my flowers have instant dimension foam tape behind each petal and leaf, and I slowly placed flowers, moved them around, filled in little gaps with lots of leaves, added some flowers tucked behind the photo, and also a few just on top around the edges. And I carried on doing this until I'd used up pretty much all the leaves and flowers that I had created. Once I'd finished and I was happy with my design, I used some metallic thread to create a triple bow, which I was planning to then put behind the sentiment or the title of my page. I chose to use the U Matter die and the big U die from that, and I created a title called You Are Loved. So I cut out the U from black, and I laid up actually 3 or 4 layers to give it almost a chipboard effect, and then a sentiment from that, from the essential sentiment die set. I added some sequins, some gold sequins, and that finished off my layout. So I really hope you have enjoyed what I've created today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've inspired you to craft your life, and until next time, bye bye.